Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, take your seats. Lesser. Paul Jacobson. And Daniel Geyer. Okay, I present to you the newest members of Troop 58. Thank you. Which also puts him in line for the Merit Badge Monster. I was kind of thinking the other day about how am I going to go out? You know, am I going to just come up here and just be real brief and so long and thanks for all the fish? But I guess as anybody who's gotten to know me over the last 5 years know, I rarely will use 5 words when 10 will do. So you're going to get the opportunity for one last presentation on my part. And then I promise I'll be done. The other day I was riding home in my car, and I was kind of thinking about what I was going to say and how I might kind of present this. And I flipped on the radio, and I ended up catching an interview with an author. Her name was Patricia McCardle, and they were interviewing her about a book she had written, a novel. But the most interesting thing that I heard in her interview was some talk, as she was talking about some of her experiences around the world. Now, Patricia McCardle was a Foreign Service officer for the U.S. State Department. She spent most of her career in diplomatic posts around the world. And she had kind of worked herself to the point in her career where she could pretty much go where she wanted. She had been spending the last few years in some of the cushier posts, the nicer countries in Central America, the Caribbean, that sort of thing. And she was about 5 or 6 years from retirement. And she could have kind of kept doing that, but the State Department came to her and they said, we got a deal for you. You can keep doing what you're doing, and in 5 or 6 years you can retire and be done, and that's fine. Or you can work 1 more year, retire with full benefits, but we need you to serve in either Iraq or Afghanistan. So she kind of weighed this, thought about it, kind of realized that it'd be kind of nice not having to get up early for work and go into a job every day. And she had served in posts in other areas around the world in war zones. So she said, I can do that for a year. So that's what she did. She said yes. And she ended up being assigned to Afghanistan. Now, when she got there, ultimately, after she'd been there a little while, she ended up working at a military camp in a fairly rural area of Afghanistan. And her job was that she was the liaison between the camp and the villages in her area. And it didn't take too long for her to get kind of bored at camp, so she started going out on patrols with the soldiers. And while she was out on patrol one day, she saw these kids, young kids, younger than most of you guys here, out pulling up shrubs and bushes and putting them on their back and walking away. And so she asked what was going on, and somebody explained to her what was happening. Now, the thing you need to understand about Afghanistan is that, in the first place, it's a pretty arid place to begin with. They don't have the kind of forests that we have around here. And the other thing, too, is that the country has pretty much been in a state of war on and off for most of the last 50 or 60 years. So as a result, there aren't a lot of trees in Afghanistan. And not a lot of trees means not a lot of firewood. What was happening is that these kids were finding the only kind of wood that they could find available for their families' cook fires. And they were spending most of their days doing that. Another thing you should know about Afghanistan is that weather-wise, it's pretty stable. I mean, it gets pretty cold and pretty hot in certain areas and that, but for the most part, it's pretty sunny. And Patricia started thinking about this and how she might be able to do something about this situation. So, she remembered back to when she was a young girl. She was a Girl Scout. Now, apologies, this is about Girl Scout, not Boy Scouts, but the lesson, it follows through. And as a Girl Scout, she went to Girl Scout summer camp. And at Girl Scout summer camp, one of the many things that she learned was how to make a solar oven. Now, for any of you who maybe haven't ever built a solar oven or don't even know what a solar oven is, it's basically a box. It's wrapped in aluminum foil. It redirects the sun rays to a central point, and it gets hot enough that you can cook stuff in it. So she got back to camp, and she went to the internet. Apparently this camp was wired for broadband. And she printed off instructions on how to make a solar oven. She built a couple, started experimenting with them, got good with them, and then she gave these solar ovens to some of the villagers in the area that she worked. They proved so popular that pretty soon the residents from the villages were coming to her asking her for them. By the time that Patricia McCardle left Afghanistan, just about every home in every village in the area that she covered had a solar oven. And this greatly reduced the amount of time and effort that the kids were having to spend going out and searching for the last little bits of wood that were available for these campfires. So I heard this story and I said, that's it. That encapsulates what I was trying to think about. What she did there is she thought of something that she learned many, many years ago as a scout, Girl Scout, yes, but a scout nonetheless, and put it into practice in a place on the other side of the world. And it was successful. And it really brings together the idea of why I got involved in scout leadership, why I became a scoutmaster, and why I did what I could to help develop the kind of program that we have here in Troop 58. All of you guys that are involved in the troop have the opportunity to learn things as scouts that you can put into practice later in life. And if you do that, you never know what kind of impact that you're going to have. Hopefully, it helps improve your life. But it's even better if you can go out and help improve the lives of other people. Right? Just like Patricia McCardle didn't know that that one summer camp experience she had building a solar oven was going to have such a great impact in another area that we really didn't even know about at that age. Any more than she maybe leather working would have or paddling a canoe would have. You guys have the same opportunity. And I really look forward to all the great things that you guys can accomplish with that knowledge. I want to thank you guys for letting me be your Scoutmaster for the last 5 years. Believe it or not, I've learned as much from you guys as you guys have hopefully learned from me. And it's been a real honor to serve in that capacity. So, to that end, thanks again. Thank you everybody for coming tonight. And if we can have the Scouts come up here, we'll do the closing ceremony. Thank you very much. Any help tearing down and cleaning up would be greatly appreciated.